When we are opening Corriere dello Sport of this morning, we see and we can read a few news about Juventus, like for example, final act for Jadon Sancho, Ullman that is coming forward, Juventus not giving up on the young Italian Leoni. They don't give up. They are still on him. And then we also see that Milan, for the last days of transfer market, they are still on Dusan Vlahovic. I have good news, I have bad news. The good news is that Juventus is not giving up on Leoni, and I'm sure that you will all be happy about that one. The bad news is that we will not speak about any of these four players, because after the news, the breaking news of yesterday, this morning I woke up and I couldn't answer a big question. The question is, why? Because I never closed the door to Lucas Vazquez as a Juve player. But my question is, why do we need him? What is the idea of Tudor, of Comoli, of Modesto in looking for right backs more than for Lucas Vazquez? And I hope that some of you will be able to help me in today's video. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Guys, if you didn't yet, it's the moment to do it, to support the channel with a maximum of like. Don't forget to subscribe, because yesterday, beautiful news, we reached 38,905 Juventini of the world here on the channel. We are still far from the 40, so extra push is needed, and I'm sure that the people that are watching the video, that are enjoying the video, that are discovering the channel, well, it's the moment that they will do it. Now we start with the news, because I told you yesterday, breaking news from Nico Schira, that is reporting us that it's not Juve at the moment that knocked on the door of Real Madrid, because nobody would have answered there, or if they answered, they would have told you, but Lucas Vazquez is not even our player anymore. We know it, it's a free agent. It's official now, but he didn't retire. So it's the entourage of the Spanish player that knocked on the door of Juve, telling us, we have a player that is called Lucas Vazquez that is on a free, that could potentially help you. Are you interested in the Spanish 34 years old player? We don't know at the moment the answer from Juve, but it's true that my question, why Lucas Vazquez? It's actually because in the recent days we are speaking more and more about right backs. Lucas Vazquez is the latest one. But in the last few days, we spoke about Marc Pubil, Almeria player, 22 years old, a young player, 190, super tall, but it is a right back. We spoke about Jonathan Klose, that is a right back, ex-Marseille coach by Tudor. So he knows him really well. He knows the limits of the player. He knows the strength of the player. But now he's at Nice. And then we spoke also about Nahuel Molina, right back, not a first choice right back anymore from Diego Simeone, Atletico Madrid. If we add them to the one that we already have, Kalulu, that started with Milan, that continue with Juve as a right back with Thiago Motta, Savona that played as a right back with Thiago Motta, we are speaking about 6 different right backs. Not that all the 4 players will arrive to Juve, but Kalulu, Savona, if we go towards a 4-man defense, we already have our 2 players. That's my question. On top of an Alberto Costa that we never saw as a right back, we saw him playing in that 3-4-2-1 more as a right winger, but potentially could also play as a right back. Why are we really going towards these names? Are we really in need of a right back, or do we actually need a right winger? But we don't read a lot of right wingers. So my big question is Tudor really thinking to go towards a 4-man defense? Because that's the only logic I have. Otherwise, you don't need a Molina, a Jonathan Klose, a Lucas Vazquez, a Pubil, because these are real serious right backs. So I really don't understand it. Are we really going towards a 4-man defense? It's something that we will discover really soon, because the first game will be played by Juve, the first friendly against the Reggiana, this is a Serie B team, on the 2nd of August at 11 a.m. In Italy. Will not be shown on television. The second one will be on the 10th of August in Germany, in Dortmund, where I will be there, so I will be able to watch and maybe to confirm you if we go towards a 4-man defense or we stay with a 3-man defense. Savona will not be there, we know it, because he's still injured. But my question is that, why are we going for right backs? Do we really have that idea of changing? I told you, would not be bad, the 4-man defense, if we are able to play with a 3-man midfield, because that would benefit the midfield, that would potentially benefit a player like Koopmeiners going towards that 4-3-2-1. It's something that I'm not saying no to, and maybe that's what we have in mind at the moment. Otherwise, I can't explain myself. Now, if we are speaking about players that could potentially leave, Savona is potentially a player that could leave if the right offer arrives. 20-25 million euro is what Juventus would request for the Italian young player that did his first season with the first team. I would personally not let him go. I told you that a player that can play in a 3-man defense, can play in a 4-man defense, a player that was absolutely not expected to play with the first team, but actually did really well if you are taking everything into consideration. Did he do some mistakes? Could he do a bit of lectures, anticipation a bit better? Absolutely yes, but that's what we are doing with defenders. And we know that the defenders, they need the experience to reach their top level. But we have a player that has that Juventini inside, that know everything. So I would think twice about letting a player like Savona go. I will also think twice before letting him play on the left side of the field, because sacrificing players to help the team is always great, but then don't complain if they are not performing at a top form. But anyway, if he would leave, why not? But then you are not looking for players like Molina, for players like Lucas Vazquez, or players like Pubil or Jonathan Klose. These are not the players that are replacing him, unless you go towards a 4-man defense. That's why I'm really thinking about that. Let me know. Now, about the player Lucas Vazquez. I told you that there is one thing that we are missing at Juve, and we know it. I repeat it so many times. It is the leadership. It is the experience. It's that serial winner mentality. Lucas Vazquez, that you like him or that you don't like him, well, one of the first pictures that I found on internet was the picture where he's holding with his left hand the Champions League, and with his right hand he's showing you 5, because 5 Champions League, that's what he won, on top of La Liga, Supercopa del Rey, FIFA Club World Cup before the new edition, the old format. He won everything with Real Madrid. Of course, it's easier to do when you are at Real Madrid than when you are at Sassuolo, but we are speaking about someone that knows how to win. No, he's not 35, he just celebrated 34. So is he old? Yes, he is older, we can say it. Is he as old as Modric? No. Is he as old as some other players that are joining Serie A? No. Is he a player that I would see as a starter? No, that's not what I see from Lucas Vazquez. I think that it's a player that can really reinforce Juve in terms of charisma, in terms of leadership, in terms of showing the example on the field immediately, being the first there that arrives, that knows what it is to sacrifice, to do that extra mile, showing it so that the others can learn, can be inspired by what it is a champion. We know the story of Cristiano Ronaldo. Not that Vasquez is Cristiano Ronaldo, don't get me wrong, but we know the mentality of some players that can be infections for other people that are watching, that are just there seeing, wow, this is what you need to do to be a serial winner. This is how you react when you are not winning. Super important. Then it's a player that, if you're speaking about physicality, it's a player that is able to play with consistency. Last season, because of a lot of injuries at Real Madrid, at the end he played 3,400 minutes. He played 53 games in total. I believe more than 40 games as a starter. So we are speaking about a player that can still give something. Now pay attention. 34. Playing all these games is not always beneficial for a player like Lucas Vazquez. We see the last season where he played 2,400 minutes in La Liga, and the season before in Orange where he's playing 1,600 minutes. So it's a big difference in terms of minutes played when he's playing more and more and more, where it's a player that is starting to do the basic, to do the minimum, because he wants to keep his energy, because he doesn't have the strength game in, game out to always deliver what he's able to do. We see that the season before, when Real Madrid won a lot of things, well, we see that when he was not playing from the start every single game, when he was not playing every single game, he had more energy to push in defensive duels, to push in possession one, to push in expected assists, in crossing, in carrying the ball. So it's a player that, if you are able to give him the minutes that he can handle, can bring you something, not as a starter. Then if you are comparing the season of Jonathan Klose from last season together with Lucas Vazquez last season, we see that Jonathan Klose has been much more complete than Lucas Vazquez. So I tell you today, if you bring me Jonathan Klose, that he would be a starter of the team, as a right back in a four-man defense, I can tell you that he gives me a bit more guarantees than Lucas Vazquez. If you tell me, Beppe, no, we don't want to go towards a starter that is Jonathan Klose, but we are looking for a rotational player that can give you something, especially in leadership, playing half of the minutes at disposal, well, I tell you, Lucas Vazquez will not be a bad name. But again, only if we go towards a four-man defense, because no way that we go to play with Lucas Vazquez in a 3-4-2-1, out of sight. Anyway, Cambiaso already decided. He already voted Lucas Vazquez, but remember a few seasons ago where he was obliged to ask answer the questions in the morning about who was the best jersey that he ever swept with a player. He said Lucas Vazquez. Anyway, we go towards the remaining news of the day. Tutto Sport, Juve di tutto per Tudor. Juve is doing everything for Tudor. We know it, and they were some specific requests from Tudor, like an extension of contract, like expanding his staff, and Juventus is working on it. They are also working on a player that Tudor would love to reconfirm, Kolo Muani. But as said yesterday during the live, it starts to be really difficult. So it's a situation that we need to monitor, because Paris Saint-Germain, and I don't want to repeat myself, but at the moment it's difficult. Juventus, they have one priority. It is Kolo Muani there up front, but if not possible, they are obliged to look for alternatives. And one of the alternative names on top of Jadon Sancho, that is a discussion that we already know that could potentially be closed really soon. Well, they are back on Højlund. No, you didn't hear Hjulmand. You heard Højlund, the player that we were happy that he was not linked to Juve anymore. For what reason? Because if they cannot go for Kolo Muani, well, they are thinking to actually try to put a Douglas Luiz that has a lot of requests from Premier League, also still from Manchester United, in a possible swap deal. I hope this doesn't go through. I really hope this doesn't go through. And then I told you about the revolution of the staff, not only the staff of Tudor, but also in physiotherapy, athletic staff. Juventus is changing a lot of things. A lot of people that were there working for 10 years are seeing themselves say goodbye. They are leaving because they are changing a lot of things. And also strange strategy also from Juve, because a few weeks ago there was that post on LinkedIn where Juventus asked, we are looking for a first team physiotherapist, something extremely unusual for a club. Well, they closed today the application because they received thousands of applications. You will tell me, Beppe, why are we looking for people that are not from the football world, or why are we opening a post on LinkedIn? It means that we don't know about football world. Well, I tell you, pay attention. We know probably really well the football world, and we know who is available, who is not available. We know who we can potentially hire to complete the team and to reinforce the team. But why not looking at people that are physiotherapists, that are not maybe from the football world? This is something that sometimes is working really well, because it brings you another look, brings you a new vision. That could be one of the reasons why Juventus posted it on LinkedIn. Then I don't know much more about that, but could be. Anyway, Juventus is working for Tudor with players, or for players, for management with a Modesto that arrived, but also for staff, physiotherapists, but also inside the staff of Tudor, because there are some people that are joining him, like for example Troiano that we already spoke, and also Ragnacci that will take care of all the injuries. If you enjoyed the video, please put a maximum of like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Grazie, forza, Juve. Ciao.